Welcome back to the Bro Street Benchwarmers podcast. My name is Adam Den. Ethan Lividitis is here with me as always. And should I say we have a new co-host?
Sure.
Am I allowed to say that legally? We have a new co-host. Michael Kormelos is now officially joining us. Has been an esteemed guest many times, but is now officially here. And
let's go.
Just joining the team. So we're very excited.
To be here.
Yes.
Happy to be here.
So, I wanted to first start off and apologize for have not recorded in 3 weeks. I didn't realize that. It's not great. Obviously, a lot has happened in the sports world. The NBA season, getting rolling. These championship games, which we'll get into before we talk about the Super Bowl, of course. We will get you guys all of that. We're sorry we just had, crazy busy schedules. It's been tough. But we're here now. And we have a new co-host, so we hope that makes up for it. And we are here to talk about, who would have thought this would be the thing that, kind of brings us back here. But Matthew Stafford.
Stafford, Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks, and a third.
Yeah, third.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that third's going to make a difference.
Thoughts, predictions, anything right here, right now.
I would like to say,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Right here, right now, both of these teams are going to suck next year. I don't know how they made the playoffs. Sean McVay's a nice coach and everything. He's cool, but that offense is terrible. Cam Akers is overrated. Robert Woods is overrated. Cooper Kupp is fine. Offensive line, terrible. Jared Goff is terrible. He couldn't go one game without throwing 18 interceptions. I don't want to make fun of Jameis Winston last year. Let's make fun of Jared Goff this year. But I don't know. I can't. I don't think they're. And they're the Lions, just the Lions. Sure, they're getting picks. They'll be good in 10 years.
Maybe if they feel
7 to 10 years. But knowing the Lions, knowing their front office, those picks are going to get worse drafting than the Raiders, and the Raiders should pick Damon Arnett at 18 this year.
Yeah. I have a much more optimistic take. Just so weird for me, but yeah, I think this puts the Rams into contention in the NFC. I don't think they're not up there with if Green Bay stays with how they are. I know stuff is all weird with that playoff loss, but I think they're right up there in the NFC because this puts them in a win now mode, and they only have. They're not extending him. It's still 2 years of Matt Stafford being consistently good. I've always been a proponent and apologist for Matt Stafford, and I think Jared Goff seriously was a weak link for the Rams. And they probably could have been a little better without him because Jared Goff is seriously that bad, and that contract they had to throw those picks in to get rid of it. And I think going to a team like Detroit is kind of where it kind of had to end up to be. Because I don't anybody wanted that. I think that's an even less desirable contract than Carson Wentz just because, Jeez.
Yeah.
He's making more money than Carson Wentz, though, right? Is he making more money than Carson Wentz?
I think he's making more over the later years than
I thought Carson Wentz was a top 10 paid athlete in the world.
Carson Wentz is around 25 in annual salary in the league overall. It's the way Howie broke it down. The one thing Howie is good at, just not,
actually moving money around. Moving money around to eventually put us in a cap hell.
Yeah.
I think with the coaching and the defense was still absolutely carried the Rams last year. And let's see. The future for the San Francisco 49ers is super murky because it's Jimmy G and the quarterback. Can they get Deshaun? If they get Deshaun, I think the Rams are kind of just going to be the odd man out in the NFC because Seattle's still going to be here until Russell Wilson retires, and the Cardinals are just not it with Cliff Kingsbury. So
yeah,
I have
coaching improves, they will be.
I think a change of scenery could work for either quarterback, and all power to Jared Goff. I feel really bad for him, honestly, just being thrown into the fire. Known as the Lions. And I mean, Matt Stafford, it could either work out perfectly with Sean McVay or be a complete disaster.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I kind of strike a middle ground between you two. I mean, I do think the Detroit Lions did win this trade, just with the incredible haul that they were able to receive. I mean, this is something unlike, the past couple years when we've seen quarterback trades, unlike anything we've seen before.
I did not anticipate them getting that many picks. I didn't think the Lions would get first for Stafford, if I'm being honest.
No.
I think teams would give up first for a 35-year-old.
I thought they give up a first just because, I mean, this isn't just any 35-year-old. This is a guy who's legitimately been, a top 10, you can argue top 8 quarterback throughout his entire career.
Like, I could say J.J. Watt and Matthew Stafford may be the only two, people that are 30 years old right now in the NFL I'd give up the first for. But
Tom Brady. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually a lot more optimistic about this Lions team, at least going into next year, than I would have been before this trade. Not so much going into the future because of, the obvious cap situation that they're going to be in. But I don't hate Jared Goff even as much as a lot of people.
Oh, you're wrong.
I think outside of this point.
I mean, obviously a not fantastic season. But, I mean, you look at some of these games down the stretch being played by injuries, I think he was a big part of that. I think, obviously the Sean McVay motion offense helped him a lot. And that's, I mean, looking at the other side of it, that's part of the reason why, I mean, even with the Rams giving up so much here, this was almost essential with, the reports that were coming out of LA and all of that. Because if you're starting John Wolford, you're basically asking for 8-8. You're asking for
worse.
I like John Wolford.
I like John Wolford too, but I mean,
he clutched up against the Cardinals. I think if you can beat the Cardinals, you're at a level spot. Because the Cardinals were almost playoff.
Yeah, I don't think he's any.
He could definitely start.
Yeah.
Like, if the Texans picked him up instead of drafting a quarterback and just rolled with John Wolford for a year, I would not be complaining. I mean, he was pretty good. I mean, he's not Deshaun Watson, but
he's not a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
But
he could be. That's what we all said about Mahomes when he went top 10 over Deshaun Watson.
We're not comparing John Wolford to Patrick
Mahomes. So what I'm saying is you can't judge a quarterback based off one game because you can't. Because I mean, if I'm being honest, I thought Patrick Mahomes top 10 was absolutely terrible pick, and I thought I'm a Clemson fan, so I clearly thought Deshaun Watson was the best quarterback in the draft.
I thought Deshaun Watson was the best quarterback in that draft too. I totally agree.
But I thought that
talent was still
honestly,
obviously there with the arm strength. I mean, going to college.
On my board in there, I had Deshaun, and then I had Kaiser. Kaiser was really hot coming out of college. At Notre Dame, people seem to forget how good he was. Then I had Trubisky. Then I had Mahomes. Like I don't think anybody saw Patrick Mahomes coming.
I had him third. I had Trubisky over him. I will say that. But I mean,
everyone had Trubisky over him.
Yeah. I mean, getting back to the Rams, they're, this is a team that will be in contention for the NFC. I love what Matthew Stafford could possibly be inside of this offense. He fits that Sean McVay mold perfectly in the way he wanted Goff to, with those designated rollouts, those play actions, and just the ability to use, I mean, almost West Coast offense. And I mean, I like Robert Woods a lot more than you do, I guess, and Cam Akers too.
Cam Akers is fine.
Cam Akers is fine. Yeah,
Robert Woods is overrated. Overrated. Robert Woods is so overrated.
I mean,
it happens every year. He'll have the first good 5 games of the season. Everybody thinks he's the next DeAndre Hopkins. Falls off the face of the earth.
He is injury prone. I will give you that. But yeah, I mean, I think they're a solid 3 or 4 seed in the NFC going into this season. I don't see them topping
ridiculous.
Green Bay, or I mean, possibly Tampa Bay. If this continues.
I don't know how you could see that team being top 2 in their division.
Okay, we will.
I
we
mean,
will keep this clip.
Yo, just for a time
the
crunch.
one of me with the 11-5 Vikings, so you can put that in the gallery.
When we both said Carson Wentz top 10 quarterback.
Yeah.
So,
we can we can move on because we need to be a time crunch for the next segment. But if we can come back to this another episode where I'm saying 49ers are going 14-2.
Yeah.
Next year, depending on their quarterback.
I had them as the 1 seed.
Arizona, Seattle, and San Francisco. It's possible that I like all three teams better than the Rams, just because that division is so tight. It really is.
San Francisco team is so well coached, and the fact that they went, they pretty much, I think they went 8-8, 8-8, 7-9.
I agree. I'm so Jimmy Garoppolo at this point that, and the run game wasn't as fantastic last year, which is really, I mean, the key proponent to that Super Bowl run. Go read my article. I mean, that's.
I think, but get as a team, when you get your starting quarterback back, and Jimmy Garoppolo, who I think is really overhated. When you get your Jimmy, because I mean,
if he's a system quarterback, that's fine.
Like 21-6 as a starter, he proved he could led the team to a Super Bowl.
I mean, again, it depends what Jimmy Garoppolo you're really going to get. I mean, if I see the turnover-prone Jimmy Garoppolo that I saw going, and I get the injuries thing, I completely understand that.
He had to play through injuries because Nick Mullins sucked.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if San Francisco was going to move on during this draft, just with all of the reports coming out of there, the reports that they were chasing Stafford even last night.
I wouldn't be surprised if they moved on from Garoppolo, but I think it would be a terrible decision because Garoppolo is still somewhat young, and if you really think about it, he's 21-6 as a starter. He went 6-0, that magical end of season run when he first got there. Then he got injured, and then he picked up right where he left off.
He's never been the same player as that 6-0 run, though. You have to.
He was really, I agree with that, but he still showed that he had the talent. I get the run game and the defense carry, but you can't be good without a quarterback.
I agree.
They went 13-3, and then this year was weird because if you really look at it, they were definitely at the end of the season trying to rush him back with the 7th seed being so fought over. Because if he was fully healthy, there's no way. I don't think they get that. They wouldn't have gotten that 7th seed, but. When you look at it, they had to rush him back because Nick Mullins sucked. And they tried to rush him back, and he got injured again because he wasn't fully healthy. And it's just looking at that. If he can bounce back from that and lead them to another 12-13 win season, which I think he's fully capable of doing, then he's going to prove that he's the franchise quarterback. I think the stats 21-6 as a starter, right?
And I mean, yeah, the contract that he's on. That $145 million, yeah.
If I'm Kyle Shanahan, if I'm what's John Lynch, I cannot give up on somebody who's like 21-6 as a starter with my team.
Yeah, I mean the contract that he's on, that $145 million contract, is going to continue to plague them even if they get rid of him. Similar to the Carson Wentz situation, similar to the Jared Goff situation, had they not done that quarterback swap with Matthew Stafford. So at the end of the day. By drafting a quarterback, when you obviously have other needs, this is a 49ers team that needs wide receivers right now, that needs help on their offensive line. Yeah. I mean, losing a guy like Arik Armstead last year was, incredibly hurtful to that defense.
Everything was incredibly hurtful.
I think Armstead was hurt. Yeah, Armstead was hurt for the year, and then they had to trade Buckner because they're kept.
Oh, right, yeah.
Buckner was like a all-pro, so.
Yo.
And he was again this year, right?
Yeah.
With the
was for this year,
yeah. I mean, my thing really is if he can come back, if Garoppolo can come back, if they draft either O-line or number 2 to go along with Ayuk, because Ayuk is clearly the number 1 for that team. Yeah. 800 yards in 11 games for a rookie. Yeah. 60 receptions. He's the number 1 for that team. That's a steal. That was the steal of the draft. That was the first round out of last year. Him and Justin Jefferson. But if you can get maybe in the second round, because this year's receiver class is really deep. If you can get somebody like, I don't know, Amari Rodgers maybe in the second round, maybe
I think that's a lie. think it's a little high for Amari Rodgers.
Maybe
I know you love
Rondale
Amari Rodgers, but
Rondale Moore, I think, is going to go for round 1.
Rondale Moore will go. I see him going to Washington, honestly.
No, Lance is going to Washington.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think
that.
Lance makes it that far.
You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. We can't judge these teams because they have the draft, free agency we haven't done yet. That hasn't happened, so you can't really face them. But what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we still got a lot of off season left, like you said. So
yeah, the Super Bowl hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah, exactly. We will see with these two teams. Definitely be monitoring this situation. At any time the top of the NFC hierarchy is disturbed. But we also have not been here for what's been an incredible, couple of weeks.
Like maybe just as or worse qualifications than like Zach Taylor.
I mean, this is a worse hire than Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury had a losing record with Patrick Mahomes in college. How the hell do you do that? And I don't know how we got worse. Eric Bellamy, we interviewed twice. We interviewed Josh McCown twice. We interviewed the Bills D coordinator twice. We interviewed this guy for an hour and hired him. I don't know if anybody remembers back in 2014, Kansas City Chiefs, a very weird season. Yeah. That was the year Justin Houston, best linebacker in football, best defensive player in football, possibly the best player in football, 22 sacks. You can see. Their wide receivers, the only receiver to score a touchdown for them all season was Travis Kelce.
Was Jamal Charles. Yep.
Jamal Charles and Travis Kelce.
Yep.
David Culley was the wide receiver coach then. It's just looking at that stat, it's like, why?
And it's not like Baltimore's wide receivers were out of this world this season.
Yeah.
to be real, I mean, there wasn't a lot of talent, but I mean, the guys
this guy
drafted weren't really developed.
And they took Marquise Brown, probably one of the best wide receivers in Oklahoma history, and he bad worded him over. He screwed him over.
Yeah.
Marquise Brown sucks now because he doesn't suck. But he's not good now because David Culley's coaching. Willie Snead was always a really reliable target for Drew Brees. That's out the window now. Mark Andrews, he's not a receiver, so you can't really say that.
Miles Boykin,
Devin
Duvernay, who I was really excited. Yeah, Des
Bryant, 3 catches.
Yeah,
Des Bryant was pretty good when he was in. I got respect for that, but it's just what are you doing? This was a terrible hire. Eric, he's not qualified. He's never even been an offensive coordinator in the NFL before. And you throw him in as a head coach. This is absolutely insane. Why?
Well, and my thing was the press conference, and really, kind of alienating Deshaun Watson. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
He said, "I don't want to trade Deshaun Watson." It's like, you don't have a choice, bud. Because if you don't trade Deshaun Watson,
saying, I came here with the expectation that Deshaun Watson is going to be my quarterback. At the end of the day,
if now he's living on that already starts him and Deshaun on a bumpy road.
Exactly.
At least. But now, if you end up trading him, you look like a dumbass.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So either way, you lose.
Sorry, but this is a lose-lose situation for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's terrible. This makes me so mad.
Lead right into that. Nick Sirianni.
He is a guy who is gonna call plays and play football and do things because the offense is moving and it's doing stuff. That's basically what he said in his.
No, the defense will not. Well, we're gonna do it so simple that I'll understand it. It was so difficult that the defense will not be able to figure it out.
So primitive that these statistical nerds will just be overwhelmed by running out Kevon Wallace at a D tackle. I'm so confused by Nick Sirianni. I know that it doesn't mean everything when you like interview. I assume I hope to God he interviewed well with the Eagles, but I don't know. He's probably like overwhelmed. I
mean, it's the first press conference.
Yeah, but I just need the credentials are spotty. I just hope that he carries over that Frank Reich philosophy, which I doubt, because we're kind of just getting Frank Reich, Great Value brand. So I'm really just I was like kind of just joking around with the Texans coach, who I already forgot his name, which is just so
David Culley. Put some respect on that.
But with Nick Sirianni, I feel like it is kind of just a sign that we are on the downswing, and we're kind of just we are way closer to a rebuild than people think.
We already started.
He was getting which it basically is starting because our guy's getting old. Zach Ertz thinks he's played his last game as an Eagle, which is probably true.
It is true.
And he didn't name a starter immediately, which shows that there's probably still entertaining offers for Wentz at this point.
Or Hurts.
And and he said how he has control of the roster, which means we're screwed. And
you're drafting another quarterback at 6.
Yeah,
welcome to Philly, Zach Wilson.
Jamie Newman at 6. It's gonna happen.
Oh my God!
That factory.
Felipe Franks.
Derek King next year.
Derek King will be a first-round pick next year.
Yeah, he'll be okay. He'll be okay. Honestly,
I was so
my
excited.
expectations were low, and they exactly met them.
Yeah.
I would say this somehow messed it up.
Deuce, was my expectation. I thought I honestly would have preferred that totally. I think they have around the same credentials, but at least Deuce had that locker room. You know what I mean? Obviously, my favorite was Eric Bieniemy. I still don't understand how he doesn't have an NFL job at this point.
He's not tall.
It is utterly insane. You say he's not tall enough?
Yeah, he's only 5'7". He doesn't meet the requirement.
Short king.
Short king, stand up right here. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, as underwhelming as that press conference was, we really can't have any legitimate reaction yet because there's really not enough we know about this guy besides like 2 NFL films clips and attempt at a pumping speech.
Yeah, the interview it's gonna be memed to oblivion. And
but Doug's press conference is horrible too. Yeah. So it's like
and Chip Kelly's was great. And
exactly.
We're not. It's weird.
He was good up until the last year.
Yeah.
Let's just wait for actual games to judge him because this is like so arbitrary. It's like an SAT. Like it's just one thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't define him as a coach or as a person.
No. It's obvious I would prefer, Doug Peterson at this point.
They're probably better candidates. But when we go 4-12, then we'll have a reason to complain when it comes to Nick Sirianni and this very weird staff that he hired. Wait,
I like Jonathan Gannon. I like the defensive back.
What was the Chargers guy that we hired? Was it OG?
Shane. Shane's
what was his position?
He's offensive coordinator.
One of the most incompetent offensive coordinators in the league is now leading this weak offense. So that's
the fact that Chargers fans were legitimately happy to see him go. I think is a sign, and you're going to give him a lot of credit for Justin Herbert's development.
I think he'll be the QB coach. I think it's more
give that
coaching.
All of them say it's Pat Taylor. So I don't really know what to say about it. They said utilization of the running backs was a problem. That's always been a problem in the city of Philadelphia. So, I mean, if you're going to be drafted in fantasy leagues, be a little worried. But again, there's nothing, we're just pulling for stuff at this point. We're gonna have to see week 1 how this guy comes out, just because we really don't know. Just like we really didn't know with them. So yeah.
Hopefully, you guys are playing New York week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean
should we move?
Week 1 matchup.
I was gonna say the only positive. I think the one positive that really intrigued me about Nick Sirianni is that off the utilization of the running backs actually didn't totally scare me, because Jonathan Taylor started out with like maybe a third of the carries. It was split to like Jordan Wilkins and Nyheim Hines and Marlon Mack, and then by the end of the season he was an 1,000-yard rusher, and I hope he realizes Miles' value, because he could be a top 10 running back if he gets the touches. So I mean, I'm super, super pessimistic about the next season for the Eagles, regardless of who's under center, regardless of who's calling the plays. But as long as we have a decent enough draft, and as long as we surround Carson Wentz with enough options that he doesn't hit a harder regression than he already did last year, then I'll tolerate Nick Sirianni.
If all goes right, it's Ja'Marr Chase.
Yeah, if all goes right. I mean,
at 6.
All never goes
Smith,
right. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah.
But the problem is, with Howie, you all could end up with Pitts.
Yeah,
which isn't bad. Pitts isn't bad. Pitts could definitely is literally a wide receiver in the body of a tight end.
It would be bad. It would be pretty bad, just because of the way this roster is built right now.
We could use, like, if Michael Buck was there, I wouldn't hate it, because he's such a talented player. Same with Patrick Surtain, he could work just because our secondary.
Even Waddle.
I hate the Surtain tape.
Yeah.
I would even see Waddle, maybe. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like Waddle.
I think people really forget that Jalen Waddle is better than Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle was outperforming Devontae Smith before they got injured.
Will be. I wouldn't say he was that last year at Alabama, but I think just because of the size advantage Waddle has over Devontae Smith, I know he was injured.
If you're talking about last year, he wasn't utilized because they had Judy and Ruggs.
Yeah,
that's
right. And Ruggs is the most overrated player in college football history. We can get
I don't know how
that another day. He hit 800 yards. It was the first 800 yards a season, and he was the first. What's your even drafted last year?
Yeah, well, that's Mike Mayock.
Terrible.
It's all about intangibles. That's
Damon Arnett and Cleveland Farrell in the top 5. Sorry, Clemson. I'm sorry.
Cleveland Farrell should have gone number 1. Kyler Murray, who?
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, we've admitted over and over again that this is a rebuild for the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, our goal for the next season is development. If Nick Sirianni is able to get that done, that is
kind of like our number one need, because all of our draft picks have been misses since Lane Johnson.
If we're gonna be honest, you guys just suck next year. And if Wentz is truly bad, and Hurts does the same thing he did this year and comes back in, and he's not good, then it's Howell or Rattler in the draft for you guys. Keaton Slavis, maybe even. He's good. Somebody.
I like Rattler a lot. I liked him a lot coming out of high school, just because I love the TV show he was on, basically.
Rattler gets the Oklahoma bias.
He does. And, I mean, he wasn't fantastic, obviously, throughout the early
first 3 games.
Really improved.
The first 3 games.
I will say that, yeah.
After the first 3 games, he looked like a Heisman candidate, and I'm surprised he wasn't the top 5 Heisman candidate. If Oklahoma didn't lose to Kansas State or somebody else, then he definitely would have been a Heisman candidate.
Yeah, just as a dual threat guy, I mean, the things he's able to do out the pocket. And same thing with Sam Howell. I mean, I'm not the most impressed compared to a guy. I mean, I think it's just, kind of fatigue from seeing a draft with Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. This stuff doesn't happen ever. Yeah. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of the greatest quarterback two of the greatest quarterback prospects ever coming out of high school.
Yeah.
And 2 of the greatest quarterback prospects ever going into the draft.
Yeah. Completely. And I mean, I still think Tua Tagovailoa could have possibly been one of the best college quarterbacks in history. Had he stayed, I think Trevor Lawrence could go down as one of them. So we'll definitely see.
I honestly think Justin Fields is better right now. I think Justin Fields is just a better player. but I feel like Trevor Lawrence is a better game manager. And I could say this from watching Trevor Lawrence every week.
I'm so surprised.
I
can say this from watching.
That I'm gonna disagree with you on the Clemson take.
I can personally say watching Trevor plays. I'm just kidding. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. There's no way.
Okay. Wondering if there was something wrong with you. Or you're like, ill.
Yeah. You should see your faces. Trevor Lawrence is a top 5 college quarterback ever, and you should see both of your faces. You guys are like.
Sounds more like you. That sounds more like you. Okay.
And then 90% of other. If it was any other year, Justin Fields would be number 1. By the way, if that wasn't obvious.
Unless you're some terrible draft analyst that put Mac Jones at number 9, not quoting out anybody named Jeremiah, but
that's his name.
Should we move on? Yeah.
To Madden.
Madden cover athlete debate.
Mike brought this up. Just something to talk about because we're waiting for Super Bowl week, NBA. We're waiting to do that separately. So why not just do something fun? So who's going to be on the Madden cover? The Madden curse is obviously always a huge thing.
You could say it with Lamar, but I mean, Mahomes.
After he got COVID, Lamar was not
after the restroom meme is kind of. I mean, you won a playoff game, so I don't count that as a total lost season. So.
I mean, Lamar Jackson really struggled at the beginning of the year, but then at the end of the year, he finished really strong. He looked like an MVP again at the end of the year.
I don't know. I think I'm still worried. I mean, I still think the Tennessee game, we massively overrated his performance. I think we know what this guy can do on his legs. Yeah, we know what Lamar can do on his legs. It's not what we're worried about. We're worried about the same things we're kind of worried about with Kyler Murray. I think it's a very similar situation, even though I think Lamar is a higher tier of player.
I think that's absolutely absurd.
Accuracy.
I think that's absolutely absurd. We can debate that another time because
okay.
But I think Lamar's still top 5 quarterback. But
you can't just count him out immediately because
he had a rough first 5 games of the season. Got COVID, came back, and did not lose until the next round.
Weapons at all? Yeah,
that's fair. I think with weapons, it will be completely different.
Yeah.
Imagine if the Ravens traded up and drafted Jamar Chase or something stupid like that. Imagine how stupid that team would be. Stupid good. Yeah. All right, but who wants to go first for the Madden cover athlete?
Okay. Yeah.
Mike, you want to go?
Mine's the weirdest, so we'll save that to the end.
Okay. I'll go there. So, I mean, I guess mine is kind of obscure, I guess. Not really. But I was going to say Derrick Henry. 1,700 yards, 19 touchdowns last season. Just the utterly dominant force that he is when that man steps onto the field. I mean, there's not many players that make guys legitimately afraid, grown men. I think there's maybe, 2 guys that are just the physical force that he is, and it's him and Aaron Donald. And so, I think he has to be considered as one of those big stars. I know it wouldn't happen because Tennessee is not that big of a market and, all that.
I mean,
there's Baltimore.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Baltimore.
That's true.
There is, if you think about recent years, Larry Fitzgerald, is Arizona a big market?
That's true. That's true.
Is Kansas City a big market?
That's true. I don't know how many covers you see with Derrick Henry on them.
Peyton Hillis.
Peyton Hillis, yeah.
If you really think about it, is New England really a big market?
I mean, if you count Boston, then technically.
Yeah. If you count Boston, but it's not Boston, it's New England. It's different.
It's
all right. Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay, let's go. Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
I mean, this is kind of a toss-up. I was thinking quarterback because that's just so boring. Because I'm going to look at these Madden covers. It's so weird that Gronk was on one, but a majority of the Madden cover athletes have either been a receiver or a quarterback. But I chose a receiver. We'll go with Devontae Adams. I don't see why not. I mean, he probably had the best season for a receiver, probably first team All-Pro. I mean, you could put Aaron Rodgers there, but I think that's just not like it's not really a sexy pick considering he's like 40 and Devontae Adams just like he's elite. He probably could have done this with Slants Boy last year, but yeah. I think I was thinking Derrick Henry, but we wanted to make it like different. And I mean, I would love a defensive player in there too, because defensive players don't really get love. Like last time was like Richard Sherman, like 15.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald.
Yeah, Aaron Donald would be really great. Or like, yeah. I would love like a dual cover of offense and defense, like that one year with Palomalu and Fitzgerald. You could have Aaron Donald and Derrick Henry on there. That'd be
that'd be perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go with Devontae Adams just because I don't know. I can't see them doing like a quarterback not named Mahomes or Lamar. Like I can't see. Like I would love to have like Josh Allen on there, like Russ, but I don't think they're going to do that.
So I guess it's my turn.
Yep.
And I picked the player who's not even the best defensive player on his team, but I feel like coming up, he's one of the flashiest players in the NFL. He's one of the best safeties in the NFL. I roll with Minkah Fitzpatrick. I feel like that cover would look clean. First of all, like if a picture of him celebrating after like an IoT or something like that.
The black and gold, yeah.
I think Pittsburgh is a big market.
Yep.
In all sports, except for NBA.
Because they're not.
Actually, now I'm thinking about it, the Pittsburgh Pirates are pretty terrible.
Yeah.
They had
McCutcheon.
like years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like if we're talking about plain looks, Minkah Fitzpatrick looks so nice on the bad cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, him or Chico would be really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my
defense is going to be a contender for years to come. So.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know about contender. They're going to snake next year, but we can get that later.
The defense, not. Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to suck next year.
Yeah. Corvette. So
should we do our next debate?
Yeah, the breakout player one. Yep. Finish this off.
I'll go last for this one too.
Okay.
Mine's weird.
Mine is very weird. Mine, since I went with an offensive player last time, I decided to go a defensive player here. And so I decided to say Chuck Clark from the Baltimore Ravens. Rookie coming out this year, taking Earl Thomas's position after the incidents that occurred there. But yeah, I mean, the way he stepped in and was able to be a huge key component of that Ravens defense. That was one of the top secondaries in the NFL, obviously with Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters as well. But just being able to learn from them in that atmosphere and the hard-hitting safety that he has become. I mean, he's, kind of learned from Marlowe and from Peters on those punch-outs and all that. So, yeah, I think he could be a huge breakout player going into next season, and I'm excited to watch him and that Ravens team.
All right. I guess I'll go. I mean, I was thinking of like a defensive player, but I mean, I think it would be a little weird to say like Kenny Moore because he's kind of already been established as like a really good corner. I mean, he could reach elite status, but for mine, I guess I'll say like Brandon Ayuk because he had a really solid rookie season, and him along with Deebo Samuel, with if they have a different quarterback, like maybe Deshaun Watson, that would be such a great team. That would be an incredible team.
Yeah,
and yeah, Brandon Ayuk really had a great season in limited play. It could go to Deebo Samuel too because they're both, even though they're injury prone, they both are like super good. They're super fast. They get a lot of catches. They get a lot of touchdowns. They get a lot of yards after the catch. And although Jimmy G is kind of like a dink and dunk quarterback, I think I'm not going to slander Jimmy G, but if they have a different quarterback, I think they will be good if they run it back. And especially with Kittle back, if everyone's healthy, that's still a very good team. And I guess I'll say
amazing team.
Yeah, I had him as the 1 seed, but with not barring any of the injuries.
Yeah. So I guess it's my turn. I have two. I have an honorable mention and then my real player. So my first player had a couple of injuries on the other line. Had a down year compared to his first year in the NFL, but he made the Pro Bowl this year.
Oh.
It's weird. So, I mean, Breakout isn't really Breakout. I mean, this player, he really deserved to make the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
And no, it's not Evan Ingram.
Yeah,
This player's Josh Jacobs.
Oh, it's Josh.
Josh
that's
Jacobs.
A good one, yeah.
He ran for 1,150 yards and 7 touchdowns his rookie year.
Yeah.
And this year had a down production on the yards. He had 1,060. They had 12 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. I think he's really good back, but I feel like the injuries on the line this year and the whole COVID thing, that's a pretty big deal too. So I feel my real player, as I pull up his stats right now, you guys are going to hate this pick because you guys hate the Cowboys.
Okay. Yeah, if it's not an Eagle, then I won't mind because it's very stupid to think that J Jaw breakout season. Like that's not happening.
So my player is Ezekiel Elliott. Like, this is the real one, Ezekiel Elliott. His O-line
is trash.
His O-line this year was absolutely awful. And get that, he still ran for 980 yards, missing a couple games.
Yeah.
Think about the dominance that you're used to seeing with Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
He is such a good player. In 5 years, he has 6,300 yards, 46 touchdowns. I get the fumbling was a problem this year. But, I don't know. I can't trust that he's going to be bad again. He wasn't even bad. He wasn't terrible, but, I don't know.
I agree. I mean, I think you saw it that last Dallas game. Against us. Just when he was motivated and the power he had, those last 2 weeks. So I totally agree with you. I think that's great.
Yeah, I was thinking about CeeDee Lamb too because he has wide receiver 1 talent and potential,
but he's not the wide receiver.
He's kind of just stuck in the middle between Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper. He'd be a great slot. He'd be an amazing slot.
Yeah.
So
I thought they started using him at the end of the year, and that's how it went.
Yeah, if they retain Dak and if everything
they don't
goes
re-sign
well,
Dak, that Jerry Jones needs to be fired from being the owner.
Yeah, he should Roger Goodell should just buy the team and then run them into the ground.
Or just rent them out to random people on Wall Street.
With a GameStop stock. All right, so I think that's all we got, right?
That's all.
Yep. So really excited to have Mike here. We will be back soon. And till next time, and of course, as always, fire hard.